Okay, next, go to page 36. Last method of factoring is decomposition. GCF, greatest factor, smallest exponent, grouping, slice and dice. Take the GCF for the first two terms, the GCF for the last two terms, and you should get a common binomial to take out. Difference is squares, square root, one addition, one subtraction. Those are two terms. And sum product, we just corrected that quiz, two numbers that multiply to the number at the end and add to the number, the numerical coefficient in front of x. And the difference here is sum product, when we found the two numbers negative 8 and 6, we put x subtract 8 times x plus 6. For decomposition, we're going to find two numbers. We're not going to just put them in the brackets and be done. Okay, but our first step is sum product. Second step is grouping. So you've already done everything you need to know for decomp. So first of all, you have to recognize them. And all of these questions start with 2x squared, write this down please, 3x squared, 5x squared, and you can't take a GCF out. So it starts with 5x squared, and you can't take a 5 out. If you're in that situation, like look at this one, 2n squared. Sorry, you guys can write down the question. For some reason, A got cut off. It's a trinomial. Put plus 15 for that question, please. Here's a 2n squared. You can't take a 2 out. Here's a 3. You can't divide anything by 3. You're stuck with that trinomial. If you're stuck, it's a decomposition question. Okay, for decomp, you're going to create a grouping question. Why is it important I write that down? Well, when the grouping question we just did on the whiteboard, 4 terms. So you're going to go from 3 terms to 4 terms. That is going to be our goal for decomposition. You'll see how it works in a second. Okay, but it's the longest factor we're going to do, but you've already done sum product, you've already done grouping. So you're done 95% of this already. You have the skills. There is one little, not trick, one little extra step. The product is no longer the number at the end. It's not 15, it's the first coefficient times the last constant. Okay, so the product is now the first number times the last number, 30, including the signs. The sum is still exactly the same. The sum is always the middle term, 13. So you start with sum product. The two numbers that multiply to 30 and add to 13 are 10 and 3. But we don't do this. This is sum product. Okay, we no longer just put those numbers in the brackets. That will not give us a 2n squared. That would just give us an n squared if we FOIL. So there's more to that. These are actually our middle terms. So we don't put 10 and 3, we put 10n and 3n. And what that enables us to do is to rewrite the question as a grouping question with 4 terms. Our 13n turns into 10n plus 3n. You guys agree that 10n plus 3n equals 13n? Okay, if we calculate terms, it doesn't change the value of the question at all. However, it enables us to do a grouping question. I'm going to put the 10 with the 15 just because I like taking GCFs out of 10s and 15s. You don't have to. You'll get the exact same answer if you put the 10 first. So I'm going to put plus 3n plus 10n. And you can see that this middle term turns into 2 terms, which makes this 3 terms turn into 4 terms, which enables us to do the slice and dice grouping question. Okay, so sum product, then you make this 1 term into 2 terms, which lets you slice and dice, take a GCF out of the first 2 terms, take a 5 out of the last two terms, and your bracket should match up. Again, you don't have to group this fast, especially after you're full of turkey and still feeling the laziness of the gravy. But we'll get better and better, because this is our first decomp question. You can see, I'm going to call it 3 steps. First step is sum product, find those middle terms. Second step is to decompose the middle term into 2 terms, and then that enables you to do a grouping question that will always work. We should check this using FOIL. If we did it properly, this is going to be a 2n squared, got it. This is going to be 10n plus 3n, that's our 13n, and this is going to be our 15. I don't even have to correct it, you can just say, Mr. J.O., I know it's right, I already foiled it, so just give me full marks. Okay, we just started, that's a lot to digest right off the bat. Let's keep going. We're going to do 2 more together, and then you're going to do 3, 1 step at a time. So by the time this hour ends, you're going to have about 7 or 8 of these questions under your belt, and you'll feel a lot better. So let's just get a little faster, a little more confident each question. First step, any questions on A? Probably a lot of questions. What number came with what? Okay, let's just do first step for B, sum product. Don't tell me the product is -6. You're not going to find those numbers if you do that. You're going to get stuck. You're going to leave it blank. You can get 0. Make sure you know that the product now is the 2 times -6. So the product is -12. The sum is still the number in the middle. 2 numbers that multiply to -12 and add to -11. And you got to find those 2 numbers. Anybody? Good? Close. Those would add to +11. There you go. -12 and +1. We don't just put those in the brackets anymore. We put a nacho cheese here and a nacho cheese there. Okay, those are our middle terms. Okay, everyone understands where the product comes from? 2 times -6, that's the only difference between our sum product quiz we just corrected. By the way, we have math help tomorrow at lunchtime. Trying to make half your marks back or 5% on a quest or a test. Second step is to rewrite the first term and the last term, just leave it. It's the middle term that changes. This -11n, this red term I underline, is going to turn into 1n subtract 12n, or vice versa. So write down 1n, or you can just put n, subtract 12n. That's the new part, turning the 1 term into 2 terms. When you do that, you can group, slice and dice, take the GCF of the first 2 terms and the GCF of the second 2 terms, like we did pre-turkey. If you do that properly, cancel. Am I not recording now? Yeah, I'm recording. 2n plus 1 times the leftovers, whatever isn't 2n plus 1, which is n subtract 6. If we FOIL that, we get 2n squared. Yup. -12 plus 1n is -11. Subtract 6. Yeehaw. This is the longest factoring. I'll say it right now. When we had the stuff, if you look at the quiz we just corrected, it starts with x squared. I'm just going to move it down a little bit. All these questions start with x squared. You're not going to decomp these. You don't want to do all of this work, like 4 more steps, when you can just put 25 and 4 in the numbers. in the brackets. Okay, so do not decomp sum product questions. Anything that starts with x squared, you do not decomp. Just because you learn decomp doesn't mean you decomp these guys. These guys are way shorter. You find the numbers and put them in the brackets. Don't waste your time slicing and dicing these ones. It's a complete waste of time. And you might even make an extra mistake. I'll mark it right, but it's just a waste of time and it's not efficient at all. So some products, let's start with x squared. Do them like we did last week. Put the numbers in the brackets. These ones that don't start with x squared or s squared, these are the ones where you have to find the middle terms and decompose them. Is everyone done writing this down? I kind of cut into the room for C. Okay, good job. Let's move that up. And do one more together. And then we'll let you go one step at a time. Okay, so let's do C. We'll stick with red for the middle term. So the product is negative 30. The sum is negative 15. I like this. These tricky numbers, sorry, negative 13. These are tricky numbers, so I'm going to give you a minute to try to figure those out. What two numbers multiply to negative 30 and add to negative 13? Don't say anything. Figure them out and try it. Let everyone have the opportunity to find these numbers because you'll probably see them again. Oops. Okay, this is a great question that if you get stuck on the two numbers, you might be using the wrong numbers. You swear that 10 and 3 must work on these. It doesn't. The numbers are not 10 and 3. So try to think of something else. There's a couple numbers that look for sure they're going to work, but the signs just don't work no matter what. Anybody find the numbers? What did you get, Anna?
Negative 15.
Good. So negative 15 S and 2S. Next step, write down the first term and the last term exactly as it is. And now decompose this red term, negative 13S, into negative 15S plus 2S. I'm going to put the 15 with the 2, or sorry, with the 10. But you know what? It's probably actually better if I don't do that, because then I don't have to take a negative GCF out. It doesn't matter if you do that or not, or switch them around, you'll get the same answer. Now, grouping question. And you can see this is very similar to the other two that we just did. We took an S out to get 3S plus 2. And then we take a negative 5 out to get 3S plus 2. Take this GCF binomial. And then you get S subtract 5. And don't worry, I'll give you more time to do them on your own, because we haven't been grouping for a bit. So sum product, create a grouping question, make the 3 terms into 4 terms, and then do the grouping question. Okay, let's do one step at a time. In A, just tell me what the sum product is. One step at a time. Here we go. Everyone's got their pens and pencils working? Anybody still copying this down? You got it? Okay, the first step is this. The product is 3 times 5, 15. The sum is 60. Okay, next next step is to find the two numbers and multiply 15 and add 60. Okay, the next step of the two numbers are 15 and 1. But you do not just put 15 and 1 in brackets. That's sum product. That's not decomp. It's not that easy. When you find the 15 and 1, you put the middle terms beside it. Those represent 15V and 1V. Next step, go ahead, take 30 seconds to create a grouping question. Write down the first term and last term exactly the same, and break up the middle term into these two. Okay, the red term, you should be able to see that 16V equals 15V plus 1V. Okay, so you should have wrote down. Put equal signs, please. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. You don't want to lose those marks. First term and last term, write it down. The red term splits into two. 1V plus 15V. I'm going to put the 15 with the 5. You don't have to. In fact, if you don't, that'll be great because you'll get the exact same answer. Next step. Here's the hint. Slice and dice. Let's go really breaking this down. Everyone find the GCF of the blue terms. GCF of the blue terms. Take out the biggest factor and the smallest exponent. Well, you can only take a 1 out. That's not going to help you, but the smallest exponent is V. So 3V plus 1 when you take the entire term out. Go ahead and take the GCF out of the green terms. Start with the small number 5. That is the greatest common factor, so take a 5 out. And finish it off. Because you have to do the last step, otherwise you won't get full marks on your multiple choice answers. Take out the common binomial. And write down the leftovers into the second bracket. AKA, take out a 3V plus 1, whatever isn't 3V plus 1, whatever isn't underlined, put into the second bracket. You might check that using FOIL. Good job, Anthony. So 3V squared, yup, 15V plus 1V is 16V plus 5, we got it. Any questions? Getting a bit easier. Getting a bit more confident. Okay, let's do B, one step at a time. I'm going to let you find the sum product in B and find the numbers. Okay, so that's the first step, sum product and find the numbers. Go ahead. We'll correct after 99 seconds. Find the sum product and find the numbers. Good job. If you have to punch the calculator, go ahead and punch it. These numbers aren't that familiar. But we're happy because these are all addition signs. We don't have to worry about negative numbers. Okay, so your first step was this. The product is 3 times 8, 24. The sum is 14. What two numbers multiply to 24 and add to 14, somebody? Thank you. 12 and 2, so we put 12 muchacho and 2 muchacho. Those are our middle terms. I'm going to call that step 1. Sum product, we found the two numbers. Now step 2, create a grouping question. Turn the middle term into 2 terms, making the trinomial into 4 terms. I'll give you 30 seconds to do that. Okay, so the first term stays the same, the last term stays the same. The middle term, 14m, turns into 12m plus 2m. I'm going to put the big number first this time, it doesn't matter. Now you created a grouping question, finish it off. We did those about 8 days ago. GCF. First 2 terms, GCF for the last 2 terms, aka slice and dice. When you're done that, check using FOIL if you're waiting for us. And see if you get the same trinomial that you started with. All right, good work, everyone. Another 30 seconds. And hopefully you get what I get. Okay, the GCF is 3, smallest exponent is m. And the GCF here is 2. And hopefully we match up. We get m plus 4. And we get the exact same binomial, m plus 4, leftovers into the other bracket. Anybody get that? Check? Yep. Over there? Yep, yep. Okay, good. If I check this using FOIL, I get 3m squared. 2m plus 12m is 14m plus 8. Good. Still one step at a time. Proceed. Go ahead and do the sum product part. Sum product, find the two numbers. 1 minute to do C. These are all no negatives. Let's go, my friend. Do C, just look at B if you need some help, or ask me to do first. Now we're doing sum product. You must know where the product comes from. It comes from the numerical coefficient on x squared, and the times a constant at the end, including signs. Remember, terms start with addition or subtraction. Okay, so this one, you need two numbers that multiply to 12 and add to 7. Oh, they're staring at you right in the face. 3a and 4a. 30 seconds to change this question into a grouping question. To create 4 terms out of 3. Go, 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 go. I'll put the 4s together and the 3s together. You don't have to. Well, look at me like you're done. So 4a squared plus 3. And then when this 7a is going to turn to 4a plus 3a. Now, go ahead and finish it off. Slice and dice. Remember, when you take the whole term out of the GCF, you have to put the plus 1 there. And when you're done, go ahead and take a peek at the smartboard and see if you got this red answer. Did you get that right answer? Yup. Right on. Okay, now we're feeling way better with decomp. We did 1 step at a time, 3 times. And now it's going to be all the steps at the time. So I'll go ahead and do the next 2 questions on your own. All right, let's check the first one to make sure you're on the right track. The product is 4 times 6. You need 2 numbers that multiply to 24 and add to 11. The numbers are what? Somebody? You're dry, close. 8 and 3, so 8v and 3v. Those are the middle terms. Next step is to write down the first term and the last term. They don't change. The middle term does change. The middle term decomposes into 2 terms, 8v plus 3v. Okay, that's your goal, is to create a grouping question. Okay, slice and dice. Toby? 20 more minutes, please. Thank you. Okay, now GCF here. You can't guess whether it's 4v or 8v or 4v squared or 8v squared. You have to know it's the greatest common factor, 4, and the smallest exponent. So 4v, we've seen that many times. If you do that, you're well on your way to getting this question right. Take a 3 out. That matches. And now the v plus 2 is the common binomial. You take out, just like you take a 5 out. And you're left over with 4v plus 3. Anybody check that using FOIL? Yep. All right, I believe you. The check works. I'll give you 30 seconds. Actually, I'll give you 99 seconds to do E. If you're done E, go ahead and do 12C1 in your textbook. And E. Don't cross out 13C. We already did that question. You don't have to do it for homework. Okay, but I want to do 13E and 12C1. I want to correct 2 of your homework questions in class so you have less homework and we make sure we're on the right track. If you didn't bring your textbook, the questions are in green. I understand because it's after a long weekend. All right, let's do E low first. If you have not done that one, go ahead and do that. Okay, let's do question elephant. Product is negative. That means you have a negative number and a positive number, and the sum is also negative. What 2 numbers multiply to negative 30 and add to negative 7? Anybody know? Perfect, good job. Negative 10a and 3a. Next step. Black terms stay the same, front and back. Blue term turns into 2 blue terms. Negative 10a plus 3a. and now you slice and dice, which you've got time to do. So you get a subtract 2 plus 3, a subtract 2, bam, bam, common binomial underlined, everything not underlined goes into the second bracket. Someone check that for me. Anybody get it? Good. Nope, that's not good. Anybody get that answer? Yep, yep. Right on. Okay, work on these questions in your textbook. Okay, go to 12C1. Let's correct your first two homework questions. The product of this trinomial is 2 times 6, which is 12. The sum is 7. What two numbers multiply by 12 and add to 7? We just had that. 3 nacho cheese and 4 nacho cheese. That's the first step. Second step is keep the first term and last term the same and decompose the middle term. Create a grouping question. Turn 3 terms into 4 terms. Everyone agrees that 7n equals 3n plus 4n? Same thing, the exact same question. We have just turned it into a grouping question now. So take out the smallest exponent, take out the 2z, and I almost put n plus 3 there. If your brackets don't match up, I have to. So I can easily, if I would have put an n plus 3, I could easily check that. I need a 2n plus 3, and that's exactly what I have. So I get a 2n plus 3 common binomial, and then nacho cheese plus 2 as the second bracket. Anybody get that? For the first homework question? Yep, yep. That all rotated. Good stuff. Any questions on 12C1? Okay, let's fly 13E. I like it. A little more challenging. You got a positive product and a negative sum. You should automatically think two negative numbers. What two numbers multiply to 30 and add to negative 11? Somebody? Hardest one we've done so far today. Good. Negative 6 kangaroos and negative 5 kangaroos. Again, you don't just put those in the brackets. What happens is that middle term turns into negative 6k subtract 5k. And that's what happens. That's the whole point of decomp. The middle term decomposes. First term, last term stay the same. And you're able to slice and dice now. Take a 2k out to get k subtract 3. Take a negative 5 out to get k subtract 3, and that matches. So you do have a common binomial, and the answer is k subtract 3 times 2k subtract 5. I'm going to check this. I should always check my answers, you guys. 2k squared, yup. Negative 5 subtract 6 is negative 11, yup. And negative 3 times negative 5 is plus 15, yeah. When you get these right, you've mastered factoring. This is the longest question I can give you. The most complex question I can give you. Okay? Be proud of yourself when you get this one right. So the rest are for homework in the textbook. I have added a section to this unit for the first time in my math career. I've said it many times, I just haven't made it a section. So I want you to guys write this down on the bottom of page 37. And the heading is going to be, I already talked about it, do not decompose or do decomposition sum product. Never do decomposition when it starts with x squared. Everyone write that down, please. Thank you. Forget the homework. Okay, right, so I think this needs an official heading because I still see it. It is so unnecessary. If I have the question x squared plus x subtract 20, that is not a decomposition question. That's sum product. That's two numbers that multiply to negative 20 and add to 1. Once you find those two numbers, you put them in the bracket and you're done. You don't create a grouping question. Okay, it's way easier than decomp. Go ahead and do this question. You just had a quiz on it on Friday. You don't want to complicate this and make this one 3 times harder than it is. If it starts with x squared, it's not decomp. Anybody find the two numbers? 5 and 4. Sum is positive, big number is positive. This is the one where you do put those numbers in the brackets and you're done. 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 You're done 10 seconds after you find those two numbers. Decomposition, you got to slice and dice. Okay, so do not decomp these ones. Go ahead and do this one on your own. X squared subtract 14x subtract, or plus 48, sorry. Oh, that's a crazy addition sign. Go ahead and do this one. I'll give you 1 minute. Do you decomp it? Why not? So it starts with x squared. That doesn't mean decomp starts with 2x squared, 3x squared, 5x squared, and you can't take a GCF out. Write that down. Get her done. I just made that say enough. Get her done. I'm going to patent it right now. J-O Inc. Get her done. Like for Bermudian. Get her done. Done. In Bermuda, you say done like you would say bud. Hey, done. What's up, done? Another 15 seconds. Equal signs. So two numbers that multiply to 48 and add to negative 14. What are the numbers, somebody? Close. They look like they work. Do they work? Close. Negative 4 would work with this one, but wouldn't work with this one. So what is it? Negative 6 and negative 8. You just punch that in your calculator. Just double check when you have numbers, especially when they're negative signs. Make sure you didn't make a sign mistake. All right, good job. Let's do one more. This one, I can understand if you decomp because it does start with a 5x squared. Let me use a different color. So 5x squared, subtract 15x, subtract 440. So this one does start with a 5x squared, so it kind of looks like decomp. But remember, what's the first step to factoring? Always, can you take out a GCF? And this one you can. Everything divides by 5. So this one isn't a decomp. It's a GCF sum product. So go ahead and finish the black one for me here. And it's still a lot quicker than decomp. If you decomp this one, I'll give you marks. Probably 75% of your marks, so you won't get all of them. And if it's a multiple choice question, you won't get anything, because you won't have fully factored it. So GCF is always the first step. Go ahead and finish it off. Divide everything by 5, and then do some product with the leftovers. After we do that, you're going to have like 7 minutes to work on the rest of your homework. And you only have like 6 questions. You done this one? When you divide everything by 5, you get x squared, subtract 3x, subtract 88, and 88 should definitely, you should think of 11 times 8. So two numbers that multiply to 88, negative 88 and add to negative 3. Sum is negative, the big number is negative. So negative 11 and plus 8. Don't forget to bring down the 5. Don't lose that 5, or it is not equal. Okay, the rest of the time you got for homework. Have a best and awesome day.